Welcome to episode 22 of the Puckcast. Don't forget, chat is live. Let me type that in so everyone knows. So make sure to put those comments in there. We get to those interactive show as usual. Of course, if you're listening to us on your podcasting platform, don't forget, we're usually live most Wednesdays for the full Thunderdome Puckcast episode. Most Wednesdays at 10 Eastern, 9 Central. And we've been doing lightning reaction shows. So after most games, couldn't do it tonight or today because the Lightning played at 11 Central, which is where I'm located in Austin, Texas. So kind of hard to do a post-game reaction show over at work. Even though I was following along, loving every minute of it. So here we are. We'll do some post-game reactions, of course. Going to talk about the Lightning playoff stats, see how they've done. We're going to look more so at this round. We're not going to look at the round robin stats. Let's look at this round against Columbus. Pretty nitty-gritty round, so I'm curious to see where stuff fell out. We'll check on the other playoff series. A few of them are already done. So we'll see how Moose is done with his official 8 picks on the series. And then we have some official $10 sports picks. NHL edition coming up for some games for tomorrow. Did I pick tonight's game? I think I might have picked tonight's game as well. We're going to sneak it right in. So make those picks early and often. Think Blues playing the Canucks at 9:30 Central tonight. So we got that pick for you. I might have to throw it out there in case we don't get to it by 9:30, but we should be done by 9:30 hopefully today. And again, thank you so much for joining us for episode 22. Now we've gotten a lot of new visitors and viewers, so we appreciate you being here. The way it works, of course, our big show is Balls, Brews, and Bros, Triple B, and that's usually Thursday night. Sometimes we'll jump that into the weekend, and we'll, of course, make a big announcement of when it's at. My co-host, Emrod, for that show joins me. And we have a great time. We had a great episode last time. We did a little bit of reformatting, putting in new segments for shows. So we were really excited to unleash that last week. And then I do a standalone hockey podcast called Thunderdome Puckcast. Already 22 episodes of that. So if you're interested in seeing how the Lightning have done this season and my thoughts on that, it's been a pretty weekly podcast. Starting back in October when the season started, and then a little bit of a break, of course, with coronavirus. But now we're back every week. We're doing a new episode of Thunderdome Puckcast, and then of course we'll do our live reaction shows on Facebook. I think as we go along deeper into the playoffs, I'll probably do live shows of like watching the third period or something like that. Maybe we get to the Eastern Conference Finals. We'll do that. So we'll sit right over here. We'll turn the camera. I think I'm going to hopefully have a 2 or 3 camera set up soon. We'll get the camera going on the man cave couch. And I have my handheld mic. And we'll just sit here, watch the game together, go through the comments, and have a good old time. Looks like Eric Carlson, thanks for the like of the stream. So let's get right at it. Let's get to Game 5 reactions. And part of me, I think we're all happy, right? It's great. We're all excited about the outcome. But for a while there, it was pretty hairy for a while. That second period was probably the worst hockey we've seen the Lightning play, I would say, all season. Definitely in recent memory. I mean, it's hard to remember random games against Buffalo or, other random teams back in November, but this game, that period, the second period was horrendous. I think we were outshot maybe 4 shots on goal in the second period. Columbus set a new club record for the playoffs in a period. I think they were at 21-22 for the period. Then, of course, them coming back. I mean, we had the lead. Took an early 2-0 lead. And that second period really was... it was not looking good, right? They scored 3 goals in the second to take the lead back. And Lightning Twitter was going crazy. I was at work going nuts, just typing angrily. But let's talk about the officiating. And I know a few of you guys out there have been watching the games. and the officiating. And this has been the story of being a Southern hockey team. And yes, I'm going to go there. I'm going to go with this is a Southern hockey team thing. This is a non-original six team thing, a non-traditional hockey market, even though you could say Tampa's potentially one of the most successful hockey markets even now among the big teams in terms of percentage sellouts, revenue, so on and so forth. Maybe our ticket prices are, $200 to sit in the nosebleeds for season per game for season tickets, like some of the other original six. Looking at you, Toronto. But the officiating has ranged from passable at best in some of the games to downright atrocious, which today was the low point in officiating. I don't think the Lightning got a power play. I'm pretty sure the Lightning did not get a power play. You have Columbus playing. Just a lot of the jokes on Reddit and a few of the message boards have been like, we should just award all of Columbus the Lady Byng Trophy. And I don't disagree with that, because it's amazing to me, especially with the compete level that they had, with the amount of time we were in the offensive zone, 4 out of the 5 games, the amount and margin of how we outshot them, that they committed 6 penalties the entire series. In a 5-game series, I think 6 or 7 penalties, I think is the number. And then that's not including matching minors, so they might actually be, maybe got into 9 or 10, but of course, a couple of those matching minors were really no net gain for the Lightning. So again, I don't know what was going on. The refs would go from, we're going to call anything and everything, we're going to call the tough stuff after the whistle, to, hey, we don't have a whistle now, we're going to let Columbus get away with murder. I think we saw that in Game 4. I mean, some of the complaints were where Pierre-Luc Dubois basically just boarding people, rough stuff after the whistle not being called, but God forbid the Lightning did it. Pat Maroon, I think, today got a tough call against him after the whistle. Some of the few parts of the game I was able to watch. And I think we got really fortunate. We got really fortunate that Columbus, like we talked about at the preview, their power play, not great. And I would even say it overperformed. I think they had maybe 3 power play goals. Don't quote me on that. 3 to 4. So our penalty kill definitely didn't play up to snuff. But at the same time, we were on the penalty kill 4 times a game. So, I mean, I think 18 is the official times we were on the kill, I think, for the series. 18, 19. So, again, just absolutely one-sided calling. Yeah, the call on Pat Maroon was absolutely garbage. It was garbage. Absolute garbage. One of them, I think, is Cooper's fault, too. I didn't agree with the choice to make the challenge on the potential interference. I mean, it was pretty clear that it was Sergachev who ran into Vasilevsky, got him off balance, and the rest is history. So we dodged a bullet there. Going into, is that the 4th goal? I think it was the 4th goal. Of course, no beer tonight. Bringing out the good stuff. Bringing out the good stuff for the victory. One of my favorites, affordable and approachable. The old Buffalo Trace, one of my favorites. So that's really some of the thoughts I had on the game from an officiating standpoint. I think from a gameplay standpoint, it was crazy to me that there was really a lot less resistance to Columbus's push than, I don't know what happened. Maybe Columbus was literally playing like there was no tomorrow, because there isn't and there wasn't. So we talked about how hockey is a game of momentum. We saw that in full gear. And I have some graphs that actually show that. So let's look at the momentum graph, essentially, for the Blue Jackets and for most of the game here. Let me get this ready and zoom in. So second screen. Let me scoot myself out of the way. There we go. All right, so basically, Lightning carrying play, of course, 2-0 lead. And here are your Columbus power plays. They had like 6 fractional power plays, it looks like. I guess one they committed a penalty here. Or what? Or they scored. 6 power plays for Columbus, scoring on one of them here. And here at the end of it. But absolute domination for most of the game. Lightning getting some momentum back here as they started their run, after the 10-minute mark of the third period, and bringing it back. So when you're looking at this 5-on-5 play, though, again, Columbus really things shifting into Columbus's favor after that power play goal, 2-2. Really pedal to the metal there for the Blue Jackets. So I think the difference, the takeaway is the effect of being shorthanded. And so this is 5-on-5 if you're really interested in hockey stats. So you see the swing for the Lightning here, shifting into Columbus controlling most of the game, from a net perspective. But when you look at all opportunities, and that's 6 power plays, way bigger momentum curve here, right? Way dipping down in Columbus's favor. So it's absolutely amazing that we pulled this off. I can't get over. I thought we were done. I thought we got the complimentary. we got the complimentary. Here's the goal. Here's the third goal that doesn't matter. Once Shattenkirk blasted one through. Here it is, the goal that gives us false hope. And then the miracle happening with the goalie pulled. I couldn't contain myself at work. I couldn't believe it. Had it on Lightning Radio because it was blacked out for us. Because for some reason my app doesn't let me get MSNBC or NBCSN over on my phone. Neither here nor there. And a great effort for the Lightning. They played probably a 25 to 30 minute game. And they held on. And sometimes you got to hold on. This is the NHL playoffs. Sometimes you're going to have to hold on for some of these tough ones. And when you have a team playing with their backs against the wall, you just got to weather the storm. So if Stammer comes back, where does he go in the lineup and who sits? It's a great question. I think Mitchell Stevens sits. I don't want to break up the Goodrow, the third line with Goodrow, Coleman, and Yanni Gourde, so that line has to stay together. You're probably throwing Killorn or Sorelli down into the fourth line and throwing Stamkos on a line with Kucherov to hopefully get him right, even though stats-wise and when you're looking at different metrics, Kuch was actually very effective, which I stand corrected for all the times I was kind of ripping him this series. Just feel like he looks uninterested all the time, but then I guess he puts it together. So I would say you're looking at Mitchell Stevens' spot probably going down. I know Connor Verhaeghe's kind of been jumping in and out. A little bit more upside of Connor Verhaeghe, at least lately. So we'll have to see how that works out. Let's go over some of the key stats like we usually do. We got a nice topic board for that. Let's go back to Topic Cam. And we got our stats here. So, of course, game stats that I somehow managed to misplace. Wonderful. Let me pull those back up. I usually make a nice prep sheet. Didn't have time today. Didn't have time to do the prep sheet. While we're here, I saw Philly came back, but now Montreal came back. Montreal is back in the lead, 3-2. That's been a crazy series. 2 back-to-back shutouts for Carter Hart. It looks like Montreal might steal one here again. That series going to 6 for me is surprising. I thought that was going to be a quick 1-5. I thought 5 games was the call there. If that goes 6, that's interesting. All right. Here we go. We got stats for you. Shots is really where Columbus gave it their all, 41-25. We'll look at the shot map in a moment. Lots of them from quality areas. So again, that really highlights how well Vasilevsky has played. Lightning have been out hitting Columbus all series, just the more physical team. So I love seeing that. A lot better from the face-off circle this game. 53-47. I'll take that. What were we? I think we were at 28% game 4. Was that the percentage we were at for face-off? So I'm happy to see that. You're right. Mitchell is a pretty strong face-off guy. Got to have your fourth liners win face-offs, right? Power play opportunities, my favorite. 6 in favor of Columbus, 0 in favor of the Lightning. Only 1 for 6 on the power play, so great job by the Bolts penalty kill to take care of business there. Block shots, only 13 by Columbus. Again, kind of a lower volume shooting day for the Lightning. But overall, it seemed like they were getting more shots through. I mean, you guys remember the overtime game, and even most, probably games 1 through 4, even the Lightning were just churning shots, and Columbus was finding ways to get in front of it. I mean, I really think this was a war of attrition over 5 games where you just had to keep grinding and grinding. We talked about it. We said it. The system will break down. It is not sustainable for Columbus to play collapse hockey for 7 games, let alone win a Stanley Cup with that strategy. So yeah, I mean, overall, pretty decent game. Sorelli getting on the star sheet. Of course, a big star of the series so far, and I would say potentially even the playoffs, has been Braden Point. 2 overtime winners. You gotta love it. 2 overtime winners by Braden Point. So, great game by the Bolts. Let's talk about where we're at in terms of statistics for the team. Of course, we have our fun stats, some obscure math there. Of course, Braden Point, they don't have it updated for tonight's points, but Kucherov, I think 3 assists, I think. Kucherov had a heck of a game today. And he's had a quiet series in terms of, he scored a couple goals, scored a goal, I think, in game 1. I think he was up at 2. Well, only the 1 goal, that's right. The one, I think it was the opener in game 1. But kind of a sneaky good series. Not a great series. Entire games where we didn't even see him. But pretty good series. Great performance today. I mean, I don't think he got credit on the star sheet for his 2 or 3 assists today, but played huge roles in controlling the play when we controlled it today. Yanni Gourde, 3 points. Of course, not including any action today. It was amazing. So happy to see Blake Coleman get on the score sheet. I thought he was going to have JT Brown syndrome where he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, couldn't score into empty nets, but huge goal today. And it was good to see Shattenkirk finally get on the score sheet, almost getting on their last game with the tip in up front, taking the goal away from him. But he's on my duds list. We're going to do studs and duds in a moment. But, kind of a tough series from him. Kind of a tough series from Shattenkirk. His moment of notoriety is getting absolutely torched by Dubois in an ankle-breaking type moment. Who else is kind of toward the bottom? I mean, Maroon is never going to have stats, but his effectiveness, I think we can all speak to in his presence. Chernak also was another defenseman. If you're looking at the score sheet, it's going to have zeros all over the place, but among the leaders in average ice time, which is great to see a younger player get up there. I think ended up at -1, but solid defensive presence, a big body. I love having him out there. It's more of our defensive style defenseman. Victor, I thought, had a great series too. Average ice time over 30 minutes. I know part of that was the overtime game shifting that average, but by far and away leading the team over 30 minutes. Only Lightning player over 30 minutes. McDonough's had a good series. Has gotten shots through. I can appreciate that, and we know that we loved shooting from the blue line for the first couple of games. That's really the only place we could shoot from. So I was pretty happy with his performance. I think for me, a surprise, though, a pleasant surprise. has been Zach Bogosian. Kind of a weird acquisition right before the pause. It's like, oh, well, Bogosian, he veteran presence, has played for some interesting clubs, had some tough times in Buffalo. First time making the playoffs. I know he's happy. But, far and away, the slight liability, I would say. Moderate liability. Because his speed is not there. I'm always concerned when he's the last guy back, or you have a quick guy slicing through the D. We've had some situations where he's going full tilt, and it seems like the Columbus player wasn't even breaking a sweat, just skating by him. So I love the physicality he brings and his experience, but I would say absolutely has played better than I thought he would. Over delivered, under promised, over delivered. Loved his play. Hopefully that's sustainable for the next couple of series. So overall, great effort by the Bolts. Definitely, once they compile the stats from Game 5, I'm curious to see where stuff falls. Definitely a few more points to go around, and another goal for Braden Point, giving him a total of 4. Let's look at the Stanley Cup playoff stats and who our leaders are so far. Bo Horvat's having himself a series out in Vancouver. I think that game is up tomorrow. Kind of a surprising showing from Dallas. I mean, I know that they had a pretty solid season. They've had some questions in goal during the round robin and even during this series, kind of going back and forth from Khudobin and Ben Bishop. But Bo Horvat, I'm pretty excited to see him top leading the league in goals during the playoffs. Let's look at the goals counter. Oh, that's for the regular season. The playoffs. My site kind of not having a good time with the playoffs. I think they're waiting for all the stats to be done. Sebastian Aho and sadly Carolina out of the series. Couldn't get the job done against Boston without Tuukka Rask. That's interesting. 8 assists for him, and Quinn Hughes. I was talking great praise for Quinn Hughes. He's going to be a stud defenseman, kind of in the mold of Victor Hedman. I mean, give him a few more years of development. Oh man, he's going to be great. Patty Kane, actually, they're out of it also. Poor Blackhawks. They are out of it. But Patrick Kane with 7 assists during the playoffs. Let's look at some of the goaltending stats. That's really what I want to see. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to pull that off. We can look at some of the team statistics, though. Vegas has been on absolute fire, winning 7 of their 8 contests so far. The Islanders right up there, too, with 6. In terms of goal differential, Colorado added another 6, so they're at a plus 18. It was a 7-1, another 7-1 victory against the poor Coyotes. Happy to see him get this far, but you kind of knew that running into the Avalanche wasn't going to be the best thing for him. Surprisingly, though, the New York Islanders have been slow and steady. They're not going to compete with you in a shootout, but if they can keep it in the lines in the realm of possibility, they love those 3-2, 2-1 games. They're outscoring teams by 11. So the worst performers, of course, Winnipeg. Not having Patrick Laine hurts, and Mark Scheifele hurts, and Connor Hellebuyck looked not great. He's going to win the Vezina, but definitely not for his performance in the playoffs. And then Bruins actually in the minus category. Though I think today's game kind of got him even, I believe. Lightning even as well in terms of goals, goal differential, which I guess means Columbus is 20-19 for Columbus. I guess that's the total goals that they've scored, including the round robin. So let's go to round 1 studs and duds. And if you're out there, you got to see if you agree or not. So make sure you're on the chat yelling at me or agreeing with me. I want to make sure you're out there. So studs and duds for the Lightning in round 1. I'm going to go studs on the left. Stud, especially with his performance. He almost was on my duds category here, so he was kind of saved by Game 5. I mean, Nikita Kucherov, without a doubt, absolute stud. Even though he likes to disappear, take a couple shifts off, we wouldn't be here without him. And even though sometimes he just doesn't show up for a couple of minutes or a period or two, his presence takes defenders away and gives opportunities to other players. And again, he's been an assist machine for the. We want him to score goals, but I'll take the assist if other people are getting on the board. I think another stud for me this series. This was kind of a split here. I'm gonna go with Killorn. I think Killorn had a great series. Physical, being pesky, but also get on the score sheet pretty decently. Where was he? Had the one goal, but again, 23 minutes of average ice time for a third liner. I think he's playing up on the second line now with Stamkos out. Still, I will take that. He's a presence. He's a pest, and you like him on the forecheck. A lot of pressure. Dud. Oh man, I know it was only one goal, but I thought he played well. We'll see how he does in round 2. And my other studs, I love that line. I've been saying it for a couple shows now. Yanni Gourde, Blake Coleman, Barclay Goodrow. Line of the series, and it could be line of the potentially round 1, other than some of the performances over in Colorado, Arizona. This was a line that they decided to start. I mean, this is your third liners. They're going to start the game. They're going to set the tone. They're going to get the energy going. So really proud and happy that Blake Coleman finally scored a goal. Hopefully now the floodgates are open and we're going to see some Blake Coleman goals. Duds for me. I thought Seti was average and maybe slightly below average. And I know he's part of those category of players that you're not going to look on the stat sheet and be like, oh, of course Seti had a great series. He had 9 assists. I just didn't feel he was super effective. I mean, yes, again, that fourth line, forecheck, and possession down low. I wanted a little bit more from him. That Shattenkirk, until he scored today, had a pretty below average showing, and I loved him. This whole season, I was so happy with the signing. Had a pretty good season, and then just playoffs faded off here in the round robin, and in this series, finally get on the score sheet, thankfully. But of course, it's going to be hard to erase that memory of Pierre-Luc Dubois skating through your legs and around you for the goal. I agree. Yeah, exactly. Seti's usually our guy, right? He's usually our pest. He's in people's faces. Maybe he's injured. Maybe he has something nagging. He's usually the one face washing. He's usually one in people's face, kind of yelling at him. So a couple dirty cross checks. Nothing from Seti. I feel like his energy wasn't there. And I think kind of off the super schneid, if he didn't score a goal today, he would have been a hardcore dud. That Cirelli had an interesting experience in this series. Thankfully, he was able to deflect one in today. But other than that, again, kind of a quiet series from him. Is he on that Killorn line? You were talking about the Killorn line. Usually they'll pair them together. Kind of a tough line. Yeah, I think I might be with you there. I like Killer's performance. He's probably the best on that line. But yeah, it's kind of a tough time for Cirelli. Hopefully he steps it up in the next series. Speaking of other series, let's talk about that. Let's see how we've been doing as well. As we had the East preview and the West preview. Vegas, Chicago, 4-1 in favor of Vegas. Big green check mark. We called that one. Chicago looked tough. But just not enough magic. Not enough Corey Crawford magic. He was able to steal a game there for him and make sure they didn't get swept. Vegas looks strong. I think that's going to be, if it's Vegas Avalanche in the conference finals, that's going to be really interesting. And heck, we might even be able. Vegas might make the Cup Finals again, depending on how they play the Avalanche. I think the Avalanche are a lock for the Western Conference Finals there. Carolina, Arizona going as well, how we thought. Arizona had that one game, and Darcy Kemper again. Hats off to him. Great effort. Great effort by Darcy Kemper most of the series until he got lit up for 2 games. I think 2 7-1 shellackings. But Colorado, the Avs looking strong. Dallas and Calgary. So our official call here was Calgary not looking good right now. Dallas took a surprising 3-2 lead in this series. I thought this was going to be close. I thought this was going to be a pretty close series. I thought Calgary had the firepower. I guess it's been kind of a weird mix of games. A couple shootouts, a couple 1-goal games, 2-1s. So I don't know. And they've been flopping on goalies too. Khudobin started, Bishop started. They've got an offense, then they don't have offense. I mean, Dallas was in the bottom 7 teams in terms of goals per game. Calgary's got to win 2. I just don't know if they can run 2. I just, maybe they win tomorrow night to get it a 3-3, but I think Dallas is going to sneak this one, and it's going to be interesting. I think Dallas is done next round, whoever they play, but it might be Dallas who sneaks this one. That would be a big miss for us in terms of calling it. And then St. Louis, Vancouver, they're playing, just started now. They're even up at 2, I believe. This has been probably the most entertaining series. This has been a great series to watch. Kind of been ashamed that a few of these games have been on late. I think they're trying to pair everyone up with their usual time zones. So, of course, Vancouver kind of causing late starts. Same thing with Vegas. There's been a couple 10:30 games with Chicago where you would think they would highlight Chicago for most of the series to get some of those revenue dollars, right? Even at 2-2, I think our pick was St. Louis here. Wouldn't be surprised if Vancouver picked it off, managed a way to win. But I just don't think it's their time. I think Vancouver's going to be really good they could be really good as soon as next year. Definitely within 2 to 3 years, they're going to be pretty unstoppable. I just don't think it's their time. This year. Out in the East, Philly right now, 3-1 lead. Let's see if we can get an update on that game, actually. Because that game was going back and forth. Montreal had a 1-0 lead for a while. Then Philly scored 2 quick ones, 2-1. Then Montreal apparently scored 2 quick ones, back to 3-2. Where are we sitting? We're sitting now it's 4-3. It's insanity in Toronto right now. Montreal is up 4-3, 5 minutes to go. Philly should win that series, so I'm not too worried. Even if Montreal pulls this one out, they got to run 3 against the Flyers. Flyers have just looked. They've looked not as good as they looked in the round robin, but they're still looking great. Fully expect the Flyers to pull that off. Of course, the Bolts just wrapping it up against Columbus in the 2 spot, so we'll bring them down here. Boston pulling off the victory against Carolina without Tuukka Rask. Pretty impressive for Boston. I thought there could have been some issues there. Carolina really dropped a dud here in this series, and I'll be honest with you, I haven't watched too much of it have watched highlights here and there, so I can't tell you if really Boston played that well. I mean, they had to have played well to a degree, I guess, right? But Carolina looked like they were going to give them some issues, especially the way they handled the Rangers. But really, very little pushback, and I think their liability, like we talked about, was goaltending. They had a situation where they were going back between Mazarek and James Reimer. We just really couldn't get anything going in terms of consistent goaltending. I mean, that was going to be a problem. But definitely overperforming by Jaroslav Halak. Talking to one of my buddies that love the Lightning along with me, he feels that Halak is right up there with Tuukka Rask, at least the way that he's played this year. So maybe not really as much of a drop-off as we think with Jaroslav Halak jumping into the lineup for the time being, at least. And then, of course, maybe one of those big surprises, But when we called, we called the Islanders over the Capitals. Called the Islanders over the Capitals, but I started planning that parade too early, man. On Twitter, if you don't follow me on Twitter, at Moose_TSH, man, I was going off on Columbus or on Washington. Had my sad Jordan memes. I had my thanks for playing Washington, and then they came back, tied the game, and then won in overtime. I couldn't believe it. Islanders, I think, take care of business tomorrow. They should win that one. So hopefully it's the Islanders moving on. And with Philadelphia moving on, that's going to be a heck of a matchup, I think. If the Islanders move on and Philly matches up, they'll be playing. And it's going to be your classic Lightning Bruins matchup, which I really like. I do not want to play the Islanders. That would be terrible. Absolutely terrible if we ended up playing the Islanders. And I guess if Montreal won, we would end up playing them. So I don't think there's any way that we can end up playing the Islanders. So that's good. We're in good shape there. So, well, hopefully don't have to worry about the Islanders till the Eastern Conference Finals. I just don't want to deal with those guys yet. Canes gave up cheap goals. Yeah, I got to look at some of the highlights there. I just wasn't in the mood. Like, Carolina's a team that you don't get too excited to watch, which is a shame. Sebastian Aho is great. So was it just Nestikov, up and coming young stud? If they can get their goaltending figured out, that's another team to be on the lookout for in the next couple of years. So that's kind of been your round one check-in. Really exciting stuff. I'm really pleased with the product that the NHL has put out there. I wonder if this is kind of the gateway drug to 2014 playoffs being a thing, because I thought I was going to hate it. It's actually been pretty awesome. And I'm not going to lie, I know there's nothing better than going to a live hockey game. Man, having games all day lined up. I mean, even if you can't see them all because you're at work or doing whatnot, it's been awesome. Same thing with basketball. Just having everything lined up and it's there and it's available and you're able to watch something, keep track of your team at work, and it gives you something to look forward to or something to kind of cheer for, kind of hop on Twitter really quick. It's been great just to have this all available. I can't imagine being a kid. I wish something like this happened when we were younger, right? We could just chill at home during the summer and watch sports all day. Oh my gosh, living the dream. Living the dream. All right, let's wrap it up with our $10 sports segment.
$10 sports.
All right, let's close it up tonight with $10 sports. A couple picks for you guys before we send you on your way till the next show. And let's get the topic can back up. Hit the wrong button there. $10 picks. So here are the picks. So we got the Vancouver Canucks and Blues today. I'm picking the over 5.5. Looks like it's the over-under for all three games. That's your standard over-under on hockey is usually going to be about 5.5. I'm liking the over in this one. It's been a little bit relaxed the last two games. I think it opens up a little bit here. So liking the over for tonight's Canucks Blues game, but I am calling the Blues to pull it off tonight. I was at a minus 150. A little bit of value there if you pick the Blues. I think the Flames take care of business tomorrow, though. I think this is going to go 7. I think Dallas wins it in 7. But I think Calgary extends the series. I think it's going to be a tight one. Even though Cam Talbot's been playing, it's been a very interesting experience watching Cam Talbot play. I think it's going to be under 5. Look for that to be 3-2. Yeah, 2-1 game, 3-2. I like that. And then Islanders are paying even money. They're slight underdogs for some reason. I guess they think the Caps are going to be pushing back. Islanders paying plus 100. And I think that's going to be an under there. I think the Islanders find a way to shut that down. Maybe a timely shutout for Varlamov would be nice. Taking care of business with the shutout. I haven't looked at TV rating numbers. Maybe I'll do a quick search before we sign off. Or maybe if anyone wants to throw that into the chat about the ratings. NBA rating numbers have been disappointing, but, that may be for one reason or another that we won't talk about on the show. I think a lot of different messaging going on in the NBA, and, we can talk about sports and platforms and what they should be used for. I'm more of one of, let's watch sports because you're entertainment. Leave the platforming for the professionals that are not professionals in sports. So the official $10 parlay pick here. Can't lose parlay, as Big Cat would say. I think this is going to be a loser here, but hear me out. So putting these three together here, we're going to take the over tonight. Going to take the over tonight, Blues, Vancouver. Got to take the Flames to win straight up and the Isles to win straight up on the money line. Those three bets, $10, paying plus 8.46, so $84.60. If you make the $10 bet on that, it's not bad. Not a bad return. I think the one that's going to get you here, going pro and something else but sports. Yes, I remember those NCAA commercials. I think the one that's going to get us here, I think this is going to be an under. I like you got to cheer for the over, right? Cheering for the under. I've talked about this in the past shows. I feel like cheering for the under is playing the don't pass in craps, all right? Statistically, sound play, but it's not fun. And I have no shame in being the don't pass guy on a craps table. It's a lonely life. But I'm telling you, probably going to be the under here, but I'm picking the over. Flames and the Isles. Those are my picks. See how we do. If you were here for Triple B on Monday, we saw our basketball picks get absolutely obliterated on Tuesday. Milwaukee Bucks ruining everything, ruining life. Huge loss. I still can't believe that. And the Lakers lost. The Lakers lost. Our ticket was no good from the get-go, and then the Lakers lost. Might as well have been toilet paper. Montreal wins 5-3. That's going 3-2. I don't think that next game is till I think they're playing Thursday. Let me look at the schedule really quick. So I think they're trying to do back-to-backs on a few of these. Yeah, they got New York, Washington tomorrow, Dallas, Calgary. I may have to redo my picks here if tomorrow is Philly, Montreal, and I think I think the Blues and Canucks are going to play tomorrow again as well. So that's a TBD on their time. So once that gets announced, I assume those odds will be available. Well, yeah, I don't mind Montreal taking Philly to a long series over time. That hopefully benefits the Bolts here. I think that's going to do it for us tonight. Episode 23 in the books. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Be on the lookout on the page. We'll let you know when the next episode of Triple B is. Probably in the weekend, just being that we had it on Monday. Not too much happening in the sports world. You better believe we're going to talk about the unwritten rules of baseball, though. Oh, man, that's been... As soon as that happened, of course, that happens the day after our show, right? With Tatis Jr., we're going to talk about unwritten rules of baseball. Maybe we're going to have that as a top 5 list for us. The top 5 stupid unwritten rules of baseball. All the stuff that's still hurting baseball. Why baseball kind of sucks. Though I really love seeing these personalities starting to flourish here. And I wish baseball would embrace that. I wish baseball would embrace all these egos and personalities of that the players have and just let them flourish. Let Joe Kelly, free Joe Kelly, let him be a douche. Let the Astros get beaned. Baseball, you could be amazing. You could be amazing again, minus the steroid gate, if you just let people be themselves. Anyway, thanks so much. Episode 22 in the books. We'll see you next week for a full episode. Of course, once the Lightning are back in action, we'll do our post-game reaction shows for those. And we'll probably be back next Wednesday to wrap up round 1 of the playoffs. If round 2 starts before next Wednesday, be on the lookout for special edition of the previews. We'll always do series previews, so we'll preview both series in the East and both series in the West. We'll do a special video on Facebook, and we'll drop that. It's been your host of Sports Moose here with Thunderdome Puckcast. Have a great night. We'll see you next time.